Hey everybody, next video on the VMware vCloud Director Cross-VDC networking setup and configuration. In this video, we're going to create stretched networks, and the team and I are going to talk through how this is being utilized. We just finished up creating our egress points, and from active and standby. One of the things that we wanted to definitely show on my Daniel organization was once I created the active and standby egress, I can now see new BGP weights actually associated with this. Higher weight shows my active path, while the lower weight is my standby. So moving on, we can just demonstrate that I have my active and standby, and we're now ready to create stretched networks. We're going to go ahead and create this under Wissam's organization. Again, if we go to details, and we see that region A is his active path, and then we have region B as his secondary. One of the second selections over here is stretched networks. This is where we actually open up the wizard and create the stretched network. Before I do that, I'm going to let Wissam talk about what is a stretched network. What are we gaining from you creating this compared to a traditional organization VDC network or a traditional logical switch?
Sure. So basically, a stretched network is nothing but stretching your L2 broadcast domain across your sites. So you'll have the same broadcast domain being stretched across site. Use cases would be simply stretching your layer 2 network between site A and site B, and maybe if you have like a disaster recovery solution, no need to do any kind of re-IPing, because simply this L2 is already there and stretched across not just the two sites. We can have up to 4 sites with vCloud Director, so you can stretch this network up to 4 unique sites.
Great, excellent. So it asks for 2 mandatory items: the name and our CIDR for the network, and I put in description, and we press the create button. So we can now see the network is being created. On the back end, what is vCloud Director doing here, Abhinav?
So essentially what vCloud Director is doing is 2 things. It's creating a universal logical switch in NSX on that universal transport zone. So if you go to the logical switches in NSX, you'll notice that you'll have a new universal logical switch whose name is containing the network name you provided. So in this case, app network. Secondly, what's happening is because this VDC group contains VDCs, essentially what's happening is for each VDC in the VDC group, we have a org VDC network that essentially backs that cross VDC network. The reason for doing this is for simpler facilitation of IP address management and for connecting VMs and VApps. So basically, you'll notice that if I go to my data center, there's a org VDC network that is backing this cross VDC network. Its routing type is cross VDC. You'll notice that you can't really edit much. You can't edit the name, can't edit the description. Those all have to be edited via the stretched networks menu. The only thing you can update here is static IP pools. Now, why edited static IP pools here? It's to basically chunk IPs across sites. So let's say you had this CIDR, 192.168.64.1/24. On region A, I might want to have .10 to .20, as Daniel put in the static IP pool menu here. On region B, you can put maybe .21 to .30. The key thing is here, the IP pools must be different on each org VDC network. Unfortunately, there's no explicit validation that's done. So providers or whoever's setting up these stretched networks need to be careful about making sure that the IP pools don't overlap.
Great. So I just put in 10 IPs into this site. So we'll go ahead and click save, and we'll have that as addressable items within this network. And one of the other nice things is we can see the differentiation between what is a stretched network, it's called a cross-VDC network, and then my direct networks, which are external networks associated within Wissam. So if we jump back over to Datacenter Group, this is a nice thing that I thought was a great option. We already have our 2 oVDCs in region A and region B. As a test, we also added in for Wissam a new org VDC called oVDC Paygo 02 under Site B. Well, let's go ahead and actually go in here, and I'll show you that this is a brand new oVDC. Doesn't have any networks associated with it. When we add this into the data center group, what we'll see is we should see actually the stretched network propagated to this environment. So we'll go ahead and go back to data centers, go to A, since that is my primary owner of the data center group. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in that brand new oVDC group at data center. We can see that that's in the region B, and we're going to press finish. So now we have our 2 oVDCs in region B and then region A. Now if we go back to our data center and we go to 02, which was our new organization VDC, we should be able to drill in and actually look at the network association. And we see the app network, and then we also see Wissam's previous test network he created. All right, guys, anything else we want to mention?
I think we're good in showcasing here the importance of a stretched network and how easy it is to do it via orchestrating it via the vCloud Director.
Great, excellent. Next up, we'll talk about testing and some failure considerations. Thanks.